All right. So are you ready to dive into Hemingway?
I am, yeah.
You've given us a mountain of material here.
Yeah,
Literary criticism, biography snippets,
right.
even Hemingway's own words about writing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where do we even begin with all of this?
Well, I think the best place to start is with his approach to storytelling.
Okay, so less about the man himself for now, and more about how he crafted those stories.
Exactly.
What's the most important thing we should know about that?
You have to understand the iceberg theory.
Okay.
Hemingway believed that what you don't say is as important as what you do say.
Hmm.
He likened it to an iceberg. Most of it's hidden beneath the surface.
Mm-hmm.
The reader only sees the tip, but the real weight, the meaning, lies in what's submerged.
So like reading between the lines,
Yeah,
but on another level.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
He once said, eliminate the unnecessary, focus on conveying experience so it becomes part of the reader's own.
Hmm.
He wasn't interested in spelling everything out. He wanted the reader to feel the story, to experience it alongside the characters.
And you can see that in The Old Man and the Sea.
Yes.
Even though it's about this epic battle with the marlin, he leaves out a lot of details, that you might expect him to include.
That's right. Hemingway was actually quite knowledgeable about marlin, their mating habits, even their predators.
Okay.
He could have gone into all that, but he chose not to.
And why is that?
Because it would have distracted from Santiago's experience, his solitary struggle.
It makes you think about all the information we're bombarded with these days.
Yeah.
How much of it is really essential?
Yeah.
How much is just cluttering up the story we're trying to tell or even understand?
That's the brilliance of the iceberg theory.
Yeah.
It forces us to consider what's truly important, both in writing and in life.
Okay.
It's a lesson in being concise, getting to the heart of the matter.
Now, Hemingway didn't always write in this really stripped-down style.
Right.
These sources mention a big shift in his narration over time.
Yeah. Yes, he moved from first person to a more detached third person.
Okay.
And he actually talked about this change.
He did.
Yeah, he said it gave him a wider scope as a writer, but also greater obligations. It wasn't just about his own experiences anymore. He had to inhabit the minds of other characters,
Right.
explore different perspectives.
And he actually practiced this new style in certain works before fully embracing it, right?
He did Death in the Afternoon
Oh.
and some short stories. Two that really stand out are The Short Happy Life of Francis McComber
Okay.
and The Snows of Kilimanjaro.
Okay.
They grapple with themes of courage, mortality,
Right.
the search for meaning in a world that can feel pretty indifferent.
Do you see these themes carrying over into The Old Man and the Sea?
Oh, absolutely.
Is it more than just a simple adventure story?
I think those earlier works were Hemingway's testing ground for the profound ideas he'd later explore more fully. And it's not just in The Old Man and the Sea. These themes run through a lot of his writing.
Okay, let's unpack some of those recurring themes then.
Sure.
One that keeps popping up is this idea that no man is an island.
Yes, that phrase, it's from John Donne.
Right.
It's the epigraph for whom the bell tolls.
Okay.
It sets the stage for this powerful exploration of war, death, how deeply connected we are even in the midst of conflict.
So even surrounded by violence and brutality, those characters are still bound to each other.
Exactly. They rely on each other for survival, for companionship, for purpose.
Right.
And it's through those connections that they find meaning, even in the face of loss.
Right, which brings us to another major theme, love and loss.
Yeah.
It's everywhere in Hemingway.
Everywhere.
How does he handle it, though? I mean, the love and loss are pretty universal themes.
They are.
What makes his take on them unique?
It's his exploration of the Phoenix riddle.
Okay.
This idea that lover and beloved become one, even in death. Their love transcends the physical world.
Right.
It endures and transforms like the mythical phoenix rising from ashes.
That's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Robert Jordan and Maria in For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Yes.
Their love story just feels so powerful.
Yeah.
So much bigger than just two people meeting in the middle of a war.
Precisely. Their love set against that backdrop of such intense conflict
Right.
becomes a testament to the enduring power of human connection,
Right.
even in the face of overwhelming loss.
And then there's this archetype that he returns to again and again. The code hero.
Us.
The individual facing defeat with grace and dignity.
They find meaning in their own conduct, their own code of ethics.
Right.
Even when the world around them seems chaotic and senseless.
You see it in characters like Manuel Garcia,
Yes.
the bullfighter in The Undefeated,
Uh-huh.
or Ole Andresen, The
Yeah.
boxer who refuses to back down in The Killers.
Right.
They're not necessarily winners in the traditional sense,
No.
but they hold on to their integrity.
Yeah. Even Santiago in The Old Man and the Sea embodies this heroic ideal.
Okay.
He returns empty-handed, his prize destroyed,
Yeah.
but his spirit remains unbroken.
Yeah.
He doesn't let defeat define him.
It's interesting, though, how the code hero often seems so stoic,
Right.
almost emotionless at times.
That's true.
Are they just robots?
No, it's important to remember they're not just robots.
Okay.
Underneath that stoicism, they wrestle with doubt, fear, and their own mortality. Their struggles are very human,
Okay.
which is why I think they resonate so deeply with us.
All right, let's talk about The Old Man and the Sea.
Okay.
It's a story that feels deceptively simple on the surface.
It does, yeah.
Old man, a small boat, a giant fish.
Right.
But these sources point to all these different ways to interpret it.
It's like a literary Rorschach test.
Okay.
People see their own experiences, beliefs, and fears reflected in Santiago's journey.
One of the most common is the Christian allegory, right?
Yeah.
Can you explain that a bit more?
Some critics see Santiago as a Christ figure.
Okay.
They point to the symbolism of his 84 fishless days, a number with deep significance in Christian tradition.
And the marlin itself, its immense size,
Yes.
the way it's ultimately sacrificed, reminds people of Christ's passion.
Even the detail of the marlin being pierced through what would be its hands, having its side ripped open, echoes Christ's crucifixion wounds.
So it's not just a story about fishing.
No.
It's about suffering and sacrifice on a grander scale.
Exactly. And for some, there's a theme of redemption.
Okay.
Despite losing the marlin's flesh to sharks,
Right.
Santiago returns to shore with the skeleton,
Oh.
a symbol of his victory over adversity, his enduring spirit.
Right.
It's almost like a resurrection, a triumph over death itself.
It's amazing how one story can be read in so many different ways.
It is.
But is everyone on board with the Christian allegory?
Not everyone, no.
Okay, what are some other readings?
Some find that interpretation a bit too neat and tidy.
Okay.
They argue that The Old Man and the Sea is more about human endurance, the individual's struggle against fate. They point to Santiago's defiance in the face of overwhelming odds.
He refuses to give up.
He refuses to give up, even when it seems like the universe itself is against him.
Yeah, and his determination to succeed, his commitment to his craft, that's his source of meaning.
Exactly.
It's not about God or divine intervention. It's about the human spirit's capacity for resilience.
Exactly. And there's a strong emphasis on the natural world in this interpretation.
Okay.
The sea itself becomes a character, a force that both sustains and challenges Santiago.
Right, and the marlin, in all its power and beauty, represents the untamed spirit of nature.
Yes.
It's something humans can respect and admire,
Right.
but never truly conquer.
It's a humbling reminder of our place in the grand scheme of things,
Right.
our interconnectedness with the natural world, and the limits of human ambition.
It's kind of like looking at a diamond.
Yeah.
Turn it one way and you see this flash of light. Turn it another way and you see a completely different facet.
Right.
Just as beautiful, just as complex.
That's a great analogy. I think that's what makes The Old Man and the Sea so enduring. It speaks to us on multiple levels, invites us to grapple with big questions.
Right, about life, death, faith, and our place in the universe.
Exactly.
We've barely scratched the surface here, and I'm already feeling the depth of Hemingway's work.
Oh, we've got plenty more to explore.
I bet we do.
But I think it's time we shift gears for now.
Okay.
When we come back, we'll dive even deeper into some of those psychological interpretations of The Old Man and the Sea.
Okay, that sounds good.
We'll be right back.
I can't wait. This is getting really interesting.
It is.
Welcome back. Are you ready for more Hemingway?
Yeah, bring it on.
Last time, we talked about the sea as this feminine force.
Right.
La mar.
Yeah.
In Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
It got me thinking about how women have been linked to nature throughout history.
Yeah.
You know, as nurturers, givers of life, symbols of fertility.
Right.
But I'm wondering if there's more to it.
It's a complex connection for sure.
Okay.
On the one hand, there's this awe, reverence for the feminine, its connection to the cycles of life and death.
But history's not always kind to women, though, right?
No, it's not.
So is there a darker side to this whole nature association?
You're right, it's not a simple thing.
Okay.
Throughout history, women have been both revered and demonized for their connection to nature. Seen as life givers, yes, but also temptresses, forces of chaos,
Right.
capable of both nurturing and destroying.
And that duality They're in Hemingway's portrayal of the sea, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's this source of beauty, adventure, but also danger, the unknown.
Exactly. And in The Old Man and the Sea, we see this duality reflected in how the younger fishermen view the sea as el mar,
Right.
the masculine form, something to be conquered, exploited.
Which is such a contrast to Santiago's approach.
Right?
He almost has this spiritual connection to the sea.
You hit the nail on the head. It highlights this shift in thinking about our relationship with the environment. The younger fishermen, with their motorboats and modern gear,
Right.
they represent a more detached approach, a less harmonious approach to nature.
So Hemingway was already picking up on this theme of humans losing sight of their place within nature.
Yeah.
Even back then.
It's a subtle critique, but it's there.
Wow.
And it's even more relevant today.
Yeah, with all the talk about overfishing,
Right.
pollution, climate change.
Exactly.
Hemingway, in his own way, was grappling with these issues decades ago.
He was.
Okay, so we've got these different perspectives on the sea: feminine, masculine, life-giving, destructive.
Right.
How are we supposed to make sense of it all?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
There's no easy answer. And I think Hemingway knew that.
Okay.
But his work makes us consider these questions carefully, approach nature with both humility and an appreciation for its complexity.
Let's get back to The Old Man and the Sea for a second.
Okay.
We talked about those grand, almost mythical interpretations.
Right.
But what about those more psychological readings of the story?
Huh?
The ones that focus on Santiago and Manolin's relationship?
Ah, yes, the dynamic between those two characters.
Mm-hmm.
It sparked endless debate among critics.
Really?
Some see it as a heartwarming tale of mentorship.
Okay.
Others point to this darker undercurrent, even manipulation.
It's like Hemingway intentionally left it open to interpretation.
Right.
But why?
Right.
What was he trying to achieve?
Well, that ambiguity is part of what makes the story so compelling, isn't it? It reflects the messiness of human relationships.
Yeah.
Even the most seemingly simple connections
Right.
can have layers of complexity.
So let's break it down.
Sure.
You've got Santiago, the wise old fisherman,
Right.
taking young Manolin under his wing.
Teaching him the ropes.
Exactly. There's genuine affection between them.
There is.
Santiago cares for Manolin, wants to pass on his knowledge.
Right, almost like a father-son bond.
Yeah, but then there's this other side to it.
Yeah.
This sense that Santiago needs Manolin's admiration,
Right.
maybe even his dependence, to feel validated.
Some critics argue that Santiago's insistence on going too far out, catching that marlin, is driven by more than just the thrill of the chase.
Okay.
It's about proving himself,
Right.
reclaiming a sense of glory that's faded with age.
And Manolin, in his youthful hero worship, becomes part of that quest.
Exactly. And some even suggest there might be a repressed homosexual element to Santiago's feelings for Manolin.
Whoa, okay.
His longing for the boy's company.
Right.
The way he constantly talks about how much he misses him while out at sea.
It's a controversial interpretation for sure,
It is.
but it adds another layer to their dynamic.
It does.
Makes you question the nature of their bond, the power dynamics at play.
Absolutely. And that's what good literature does.
Yeah.
Challenges us to think critically. Grapple with those uncomfortable questions about human nature, even within ourselves.
So what are we left with? Is Santiago a well-meaning mentor? A lonely old man clinging to youth?
Right.
A figure wrestling with repressed desires?
Or maybe all of the above?
Maybe that's the beauty of it.
It is.
There's no one right answer.
No.
It's about engaging with the text.
Yes.
Exploring those different possibilities.
Right.
Finding what resonates with you as a reader.
Exactly.
Okay, remember when we talked about Taoism?
I do, yeah.
That ancient Chinese philosophy about living in harmony with the natural order?
Uh-huh.
I can't help but think about it in relation to The Old Man and the Sea.
It's a fascinating lens to apply to the story, isn't it?
It is.
The Taoist emphasis on accepting the ebb and flow of life.
Yeah.
Finding balance in the midst of change. It aligns with Santiago's journey.
He goes through these highs and lows,
Right.
the thrill of the chase, the agony of loss.
Yes.
But there's a sense of peace about him.
Uh-huh.
It's like he's come to terms with the cyclical nature of it all.
And that resonates with the Taoist principle of wu wei, which can be translated as non-action or effortless action.
Right.
It's not about passivity. It's about aligning yourself with the natural flow of things.
Okay.
Acting in harmony with the Tao.
Right.
Rather than trying to force your will upon it.
So it's less about striving for a specific outcome
Yeah,
and more about accepting the journey,
exactly.
whatever it may bring.
Think about Santiago's fishing technique.
Okay.
He doesn't try to force the fish to come to him.
Huh?
He patiently waits, observes, responds to the movements of the sea.
Hmm.
It's a lesson in coexisting with nature,
Okay.
respecting its rhythms.
And even when he loses the marlin to the sharks, he doesn't despair.
No, not completely.
It's like he understands that loss is just as much a part of the cycle as gain.
That's right. He doesn't cling to the victory.
Uh-huh.
He accepts its fleeting nature.
Right.
And there's a beauty in that acceptance,
Yeah.
a wisdom that transcends the immediate disappointment.
It's about understanding the interconnectedness of all things.
Yeah.
The yin and yang of life and death, gain and loss.
Exactly.
You know, it's making me think about that code hero again.
Yeah.
That sense of stoicism,
Uh-huh.
finding meaning within yourself
Right.
rather than external outcomes.
Isn't there a connection to Taoism there?
There's definitely a parallel.
There is.
The code hero doesn't try to control events.
Right.
They adapt, find meaning in their actions,
Mhm.
even when faced with defeat.
They're not seeking to impose their will on the world.
Right.
They're finding a way to exist within it,
Hmm.
to navigate its challenges with grace and resilience.
That's a great way to put it.
And it aligns with that Taoist idea of finding strength,
Oh,
not through domination, but through understanding, acceptance,
right.
willingness to move with the current.
Wow, this is making me rethink Hemingway's work. I never would have connected those dots before.
That's what's so exciting about literary analysis, isn't it?
It is.
Opening ourselves up to new perspectives, finding those unexpected connections. It enriches our understanding and appreciation of the text.
We've covered a lot of ground here,
We have.
from Christian allegory to Taoist philosophy,
Yeah.
psychological interpretations to the code hero.
It's incredible how much depth there is to unpack in The Old Man and the Sea.
It is.
It's a testament to Hemingway's genius as a writer.
Hmm.
His ability to create a story that resonates on so many levels,
Right.
speaks to such a wide range of human experiences.
But before we go too far down the rabbit hole,
Yeah.
maybe we should take a pause here.
Okay.
We can delve into some of those critical analyses of The Old Man and the Sea when we come back.
Sounds like a plan.
Oh, yeah.
We've got plenty more to explore in the world of Hemingway.
Welcome back. Are you still with me on this Hemingway journey?
I am, yeah.
We've covered so much ground already,
Right.
but there's still a lot to unpack,
Yeah.
especially with those critical interpretations of The Old Man and the Sea.
It really is a book that invites endless analysis, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Every time you think you've grasped the meaning.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Another layer reveals itself.
Last time we were talking about the Christian allegory interpretation.
Yeah.
The idea that Santiago's struggle kind of mirrors Christ's suffering and sacrifice.
Right.
Can you walk us through some of the key points again?
Sure.
I think it'd be helpful for anyone who needs a little refresher.
Yeah, of course. So remember those 84 fishless days at the beginning of the story?
Right.
Well, the number 84 holds a particular significance in Christian numerology. And critics have pointed to that as one hint that Hemingway might be weaving in a deeper spiritual level to the narrative.
Right. And then there's the marlin itself,
Yes.
this majestic creature, and its death is so brutal.
It is.
You can't help but see the parallels to the crucifixion.
Exactly. The marlin's immense size, the way it fights against Santiago,
Yeah.
its ultimate sacrifice to the sharks.
Right.
It all echoes elements of Christ's passion.
And even the detail of the marlin being pierced through its hands by the harpoon
Yeah.
and having its side ripped open by the sharks.
I mean, it draws a direct visual connection to Christ's crucifixion wounds.
It does.
And Santiago bearing the weight of that marlin on his back,
Right.
enduring all that physical pain.
It's almost like a visual representation of Christ carrying the cross, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But isn't there also a message of hope within this interpretation?
Absolutely. Despite losing the marlin's flesh,
Right.
Santiago returns to the shore with its skeleton.
Okay.
And that becomes a symbol of his victory over adversity, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit.
It's almost like a resurrection,
Yeah.
a triumph over death itself.
Exactly.
So even in defeat, there's a sense of spiritual transcendence.
That's the heart of the Christian allegory interpretation. It's about recognizing that suffering and sacrifice can lead to redemption.
Right.
Even in the face of loss, there's a possibility of spiritual renewal.
But not everyone buys into that interpretation, though.
Yeah,
right?
no, not everyone.
There are other ways to read The Old Man and the Sea.
Of course, literature is all about dialogue.
Engaging with different perspectives.
So what are some of those other perspectives?
Well, Some critics argue that the story is more about human endurance,
Okay.
the individual struggle against fate.
Okay.
They point to Santiago's defiance in the face of overwhelming odds.
Yeah. He refuses to give up, even when it seems like the universe itself is against him.
He could have turned back,
Right.
played it safe,
Uh-huh.
but he chooses to push his limits, to test himself against the forces of nature.
And in doing so, he finds a kind of meaning and purpose.
Exactly.
It's not about divine intervention.
No.
It's about the human capacity for resilience,
Right.
seeking dignity and self-worth, even in the face of defeat.
And that reminds me of the code hero archetype we talked about.
Oh,
Is there a connection there?
I think there is, absolutely.
Both the code hero and Santiago embody this certain stoicism, a refusal to be broken by circumstance.
Right.
They find strength within themselves rather than relying on external forces.
So it's about defining your own values?
Yeah.
Own code of conduct and living by it no matter what.
Exactly. And that message, I think, continues to resonate with readers today.
Right, because we're all facing challenges,
We are.
setbacks,
Yeah.
moments where it feels like we're fighting this uphill battle.
Yeah.
But seeing Santiago persist,
Yes.
refuse to give up,
It gives us hope.
it does, yeah.
A reminder that we too can endure. We can find meaning in our own struggles.
And it's not just about human strength, though, is it?
No, you're right.
There's also this message about our relationship with nature woven through the story.
The sea itself is almost like a character in The Old Man and the Sea.
Right.
It's a force that sustains and challenges Santiago,
Uh-huh.
a reminder of the power of the natural world.
And the marlin, in all its majesty and beauty,
Yes.
represents something that humans can respect and admire,
Right.
but never truly control.
It's a humbling message, isn't it?
It is.
In an age where we often think we can dominate nature,
Yeah.
bend it to our will, Hemingway reminds us of our place in the grand scheme of things. We're part of nature, not separate from it.
Right.
And we need to approach it with a sense of awe and humility.
You've given me a lot to think about.
Good.
I need to go back and reread The Old Man and the Sea with all these new lenses.
I encourage you to, and I encourage all of you listening to revisit Hemingway's work.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to challenge your own interpretations. Explore different perspectives. Dig beneath the surface and discover the layers of meaning that are waiting there.
He truly was a master storyteller,
He was.
and his stories continue to speak to us today,
They do.
offering insight into the human condition, our relationship with nature,
Right.
the search for meaning in a world that can often feel chaotic.
Unpredictable.
Exactly. It's been incredible exploring Hemingway's world with you.
It has.
Thank you for sharing all your insights and your expertise.
My pleasure. And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep discovering the power of literature to illuminate the world around us.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And remember, as Hemingway himself once said, the world breaks everyone, and afterwards, some are strong at the broken places.
That's a good one.
So go out there and find your strength.
Yeah.
You've officially earned your Hemingway aficionado badge.
Congratulations.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.